Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. Time for a live Q&A. Decided to toss one up here on a whim. I'm about to head out today and I think do a little bit of hiking, so I thought I would jump on here and just mingle with you sexy people while I drink some of this black gold. So, long weekend outside my window here. I live in Lebanon, Ohio. How's it going, Michael? I live in Lebanon, Ohio, and they always have festivals right outside my window. And last night they had Oktoberfest, and they kept me up late, so I sound like a grumpy old bear, but we all good. So I decided just to go on here and do a Q&A. If you guys have any questions, good morning, everybody. I'm still waking up. Got breakfast. How's it going, UK? Good to see you guys in the house this morning. Got me a big 100 apple pie. Gladiator. My test level is 152. What should I do? You should see a doctor. That is extremely low. And you also want to get everything else checked out. If your test levels are that low, and I'm assuming you know that from seeing a doctor, I would definitely talk to your doctor and see what your options are and see what other things are, like human growth hormone levels and whatever. Someone's asking me about neck training. I don't like direct neck training. I just don't like I did some of that stuff. If you like to do it and you're young, that's fine. Just do it in moderation. Don't go overboard. I don't like to mess with anything with the neck. If you have one of those harnesses or whatever, and you want to play with that, that's great. Just make sure you do balanced neck training. I have a huge neck, and people ask me, like, what do you do for your neck? Like, I really don't do anything. My neck just kind of grows from all the years of lifting and all the heavy stuff. So I'm not really a neck training expert. I would probably start with just something simple like a harness and build up some base strength levels. So, all right, guys, I'm going to do a Q&A for about a half an hour today, so if I miss your questions, just post them up again. Sergio says, I was lifting for 6 months. I was skinny fat. I look thinner, but 190 now, mostly. Problem is I don't see muscle gains. Sergio, if you're not seeing muscle gains, there's some basics you need to look at. Have you got a lot stronger in the past year? If not, if you've gotten a little bit stronger, you need to get a lot stronger. You need to get a lot stronger. That is the magical route during the first couple years of lifting. Having a reasonable amount of volume and getting a lot stronger. And if all you have is dumbbells and you're not building muscle, then you're going to need to find a way to get to a good gym. Risa, what would you recommend? I'm trying to get to these guys. What would you recommend? Hard body conditioning 5 days a week with full body lifting. I don't know what hard body conditioning is, Reese, so you're going to have to explain that. Red says, at what point is someone past the intermediate stage? So the essence of that question is, Red, at what point is someone an advanced lifter? Very few people, in my opinion, become advanced lifters. So people are obsessed with these titles. I use them as generalizations. Like, say, to kind of gauge somebody's progress. So if they've got to about, a 225 bench, 200, 225 bench, 275 to 315 squat, I kind of know that they're late beginner, early intermediate. But there aren't very many advanced lifters, but you know them when you meet them. And advanced lifters are advanced for a reason. There's very few of them. And they are usually fairly successful in what they are doing, and they know a lot about training, not everything, but they know how to help most people set up a good program. So I'm not sure if that really helps, but don't worry about being advanced, just keep doing what you're doing. Let's see. William says, how big of a part do carbs play in recovery from workouts? Well, that's going to be very individual. A lot of people can't function very well without carbs. Me, on the other hand, being a diabetic, I lived without carbs for a very long time, without anything other than trace carbs from fruits or vegetables. So it's highly individual, but I don't think for a lot of folks that you necessarily need as many carbs as you think, especially for recovery. Recovery is about proper food intake and calorie intake. about maximizing micronutrients, I like to think about food choices rather than just carbs specifically. Getting in a lot of quality micronutrients from fruits, vegetables, quality protein sources, healthy fat sources, and healthy carb sources. So I look at that as more important, calories and micronutrients. So in my opinion, that is the most important. So if I missed your questions, guys, just toss it up. Iris says, what's your thoughts on the squat every day routine? What are my thoughts on squatting every day? It's not needed. And look, I've put together squat everyday programs, and it's good for experience. It's good for guys to try them. And you'll say, if it's not needed, why did you put together a program? Because I put together a program for guys who want to try it and learn. Can you squat every day? Yes. In my opinion, after running a squat everyday program, is it needed? No. I like frequent squatting 2 to 3 times a week, especially when you become relatively strong, because it is a mental strain. It is a mental struggle. So the biggest challenge, there's 2 big challenges when you squat every day. Number 1, the mental struggle, because you got to get up and do this. And if you're relatively strong, it's difficult. And number 2, you need to really be in tune with your body. You need to only give what your body is giving on a specific day. I don't like programs on frequent squatting that force you to stick to percentages, because you are beating the crap out of your body with squats 5, 6, 7 days a week, so you need to be able to listen to your body. All right, if I missed your questions, guys, just toss them up. Red said, thanks for answering. I'm using creatine. Good quality, or should I opt for something like German Creapure or MTS creatine? Muscle Tech creatine is fine. When it comes to creatine, here's my advice. It's an inexpensive supplement. It's well researched, so everybody should at least give it a try and see if they're a good responder. If it only helps 1 to 2%, that's still a good bump. When it comes to quality, German creatine is the highest quality. If you can find a reasonable source of that, just use that, because quality is quality, and why not? I mean, it's not that expensive. But if you don't want to spend a few extra bucks, just go with something like MTS or a quality brand like Muscle Tech or MTS that is reputable, that is a bigger name brand that sells creatine. Because despite what the internet might say, when you're buying supplements, you need to go with a brand that isn't like, Joe's Fitness creatine or whatever, because there's a lot of crap out there. There really is. And these guys will fill up these boxes with crap, these pills and powders with crap, just to drive the cost down. So, all right, I got weighted dips versus bench. I used to do both at the same time. I think there's a lot of value in weighted dips. I think one of the issues with dips is that we feel like we have to go as low as possible to get stimulation, and that can put a little bit extra stress on the shoulders. So when you start adding weight to the dips, you really need to be in tune with your body and your form. And that goes for the bench press as well. I think they are good complementary exercises. I think you can do them both at the same time. Just listen when you're doing weighted dips. Just make sure you listen to what your shoulders are telling you. A lot of guys like to do heavy low rep sets for weighted dips, because they start adding weight and they're like, yeah, I can do 2 to 3 dips with 90 pounds strapped on me. And I was there myself. I don't like this, okay? I believe if you're going to do weighted dips, you're better off doing reps. So exercises that can potentially be shoulder straining or put extra pressure on the shoulders, I firmly believe it's better off doing more reps with a 45-pound plate than it is doing low rep sets. So hope that helps. All right, guys, if I missed your question, fire it back up. Just do a little copy paste. I appreciate the support, guys. German volume training. Buster says a high rep day on your concurrent periodization workout. Is German volume training a good option for concurrent periodization? I don't like, from the research I've read, 10 by 10 is not necessary. So I would rather see you do a 5 by 10 for an exercise, or tag team it with another 5 by 10, like doing 5 by 10 bench, 5 by 10 push-ups, 5x10 dumbbell bench, 5x10 cable crossovers. I like to mix it up, but there's just not a lot of quality evidence that a 5x10 is any worse than a 10x10, so I hope that helps. Let's see, Adam said, what age did I start training? I was very active from an early age, so I had one of those cheap old plastic weight sets, concrete weight sets, and I started doing things when I was 10, or excuse me, when I was 14 and 15, because I didn't have a lot of weight. You couldn't put a lot of weight on those bars, so I started doing, just 10 sets of stuff, because the weight itself wasn't challenging. This is before we had information on how to train, so I would just do a lot of volume with that. So I started at age 14. Shaggy says, I drink about 2 to 3 liters of water during workouts out of habit, and it gets me a huge pump. What could be actually inhibiting my strength by being overhydrated? If you're drinking a lot of water during your workout, you need to make sure you're getting electrolytes, because electrolytes are involved with the muscle pump, and they're involved with proper muscle firing. So if you're starting to feel weaker during your workouts, you might want to consider an electrolyte product. We're coming out with one at Tiger Fitness, or MTS is coming out with one called Natural Light, and it sounds like a beer, but it's Natural, Lyte. So just electrolytes. Find something with electrolytes and see if that helps. Sergio says, is Planet Fitness a crap gym? When I'm on the road and I need to train, I'll look for a Gold's or a Planet Fitness. Because here's the thing you need to understand. If you know what you're doing and you know how to work hard in the gym, even though they only have 70-pound dumbbells, even though they only have a Smith machine, you can get a good workout doing anything, because you know how to challenge your body. So if you know how to challenge your body, and you can only afford Planet Fitness, or that's close, or whatever, it's within walking distance, and do it. If I didn't have my gym at Tiger Fitness, and there was a Planet Fitness a block away, and it was convenient for me to walk over, I would have a Planet Fitness membership. I'm not going to lie. And that sounds silly, but I can walk in there, use the 70-pound dumbbells, and do a 10x10 on dumbbell bench press. I would find a way to get a good workout, because that's the important thing. If you know how to get a good workout, it doesn't matter where you live. So I hope that helps. So just ignore all the nonsense and hype. I know Planet Fitness hates people like me, but you can still get a good workout in. I'm working out with the same exact set of plastic-covered concrete weights in the garage. Yeah, they can be challenging. I used to do things like 10x10s and supersets and all kinds of stuff. Let's see, I'm missing a lot of good questions here, so I'm very sorry. Bruno said, what should I do when I can only work out 2 times a week? I've answered this question before, but it's always a great question. You do a full body exercise. You focus on the upper body, shoulders, chest, and back. You focus on hamstrings and quads, so you got your 5 bases. You also want to get your arm work in there, biceps and triceps. And then if you have energy after that, you can do abs, calves, and traps. So you want to make sure you get in chest, shoulders, back, hamstrings, and quads, the 5 bases. After that, the next 2 important things are triceps and biceps, because if you don't get direct arm work, your arms will shrink, and I know that from experience. And after those 7 foundations, if you still have energy, and this isn't a requirement, if you still have energy, do abs, calves, and traps. But do those twice a week. Do at least 1 heavy compound movement a week for one of the major muscle groups. That doesn't have to be bench. It could be dumbbell bench. And, that's all you need. You're good to go. And just focus on progressive overload. Let's see. I'm missing a lot of great questions. All you guys out there say you love my channel. Believe me, I appreciate it more than you know, especially now that I'm an old 50-year-old son of a bitch. Let's see. Anthony says, good mornings with a regular bar doesn't feel so good, so I've been using a trap bar. Would doing off pins be a good idea to mix up training? I mean, you can try mixing up. What is the point of mixing up training, though? The point in mixing up training is to stave off boredom for us. And it's also to use a little bit different exercise variations, so we're not overworking the same movement patterns. Like if you're going into the gym, you could do 20 sets of bench press, but you're overworking the same movement pattern. And that isn't always best for your joints and your muscles, etc. So mixing up your training should be to take some pressure off your joints, to stave off boredom. If you want to try things, by all means try them. Just whatever you do, find stuff you like and get strong on them. Let's see. Kevin says, what do you think of pull-ups to build a strong back? And how would you improve your pull-up strength? When you're training back, it is my opinion that a good, well-rounded back training program includes deadlifts or a deadlift variation like low rack pulls or whatever. You need a deadlift movement. You need a horizontal row and a vertical row. So this is horizontal. You need some kind of horizontal row. You need some kind of vertical pull down or vertical row. All right, so that can either be lat pull downs, that can be pull-ups, that can be inverted rows, that can be whatever. So pull-ups are a great choice. To improve your pull-up strength, if you are weak, I strongly recommend doing them for 4 to 5 times a week, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And what you will do is you'll set off a 1 or 2 minute block and you'll try to do as many reps as you can. So say you do 10 in that 2 minute block period. You look at how many reps you accomplished in those workouts during the week. And then when you come in the following week, you try to do more reps during the same amount of time. So you're trying to improve the number of reps you can do over the course of the entire week. And this is a different way of doing progressive overload, but it is effective, and if you give this time, it will work in building up your pull-up strength. All right, Andre says, I stopped training for a month and a half. Not coming into training again, my core is way weaker relative and a limiting factor. Why is that? Why is your core weak? That's a tough question to answer, but why is anything weak? Why did one muscle group get weaker than another during the layoffs? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. Some of it could just be due to your life habits. It could just be one muscle group is naturally weaker. So I can't answer that, but when it comes to training and nutrition, I tell people focus on what you can control. You know what the variables are, so attack the variables. Don't worry about, you can't obsess about where you're at in life. You can only react to where you're at in life. So that's my best advice. All right, Leonidas says, having trouble rowing, my form breaks down. I'm doing higher volume barbell rows and chest supported rows, but I want to build up heavier barbell rows. Any advice? Well, with form breaking down, you only want to do quality reps where your form is remaining good, and you want to progress in that realm. So when your form breaks down, you just stop a set. And if you do 7 reps, then next time you try to do 8 clean reps. Now to increase back strength, you want to make sure that you're also doing a unilateral exercise like dumbbell rows. So at my strongest, I could do 405 by 5 on pendlay rows, barbell rows. I could do 270 by 10 on one arm rows. You will be stronger typically on a unilateral exercise. That is one arm. So a great way to build up strength on any movement, on any body part, is to also include a unilateral exercise like dumbbell rows. What I would do when I was younger is I would lead off one week with barbell rows, lead off the next week with dumbbell rows, and then go on to the rest of my back work. So that's one good way. The next way is just to be patient. You have to be patient, and you have to focus on the little steps forward on your barbell and dumbbell rows, and just be satisfied with adding a rep, and make sure your diet's in check. And that's my best advice on that. I know that might not be what you're looking for, but honestly, that's Mr. Grave Overkill says, any advice on prevention of things such as a strained bicep? Advice on strains. That's a good question. Let me have some coffee here. Most of when I started picking up strains, it's when I started to get very strong. So I think strains can be a part of that. There's a couple things that are part of the strain equation. One is your form, obviously. Another one is just the fact that heavy ass weight will put strain on joints. It will put strain on muscles. I used to pick up a lot of strains in my brachialis during bench pressing, and I was working on form. If you are picking up recurring strains in a lift, you need to consider support, because something is going on. And people can blankly tell you, generically tell you it's your form or whatever. In the meantime, while you're trying to fix your form, you're getting jacked up. So listen to your body, and if there's any way you can provide support, then do so. If it's a specific exercise that's repeatedly causing you inflammation or strains, you need to get rid of that exercise. Unilateral rows are a great way to build up back strength. Just remember in your back work to concentrate on driving your elbows back rather than pulling. That will help. Omar says, when I press anything, my elbows hurt a lot. What do I do? If that's during bench press and overhead press, that might, I don't know if you're picking up signs of elbow tendonitis or not. So it could be elbow tendonitis. It could just be general elbow inflammation. I'm not sure how long this situation's been going on, and that is a key element in answering this question. What I would do is I would move away from low rep sets of triceps work. I would go lighter in your pressing work for a while, for a month, to see if this helps, and that's my best advice. Let's see, tips for a full body when only having a squat rack, flat bench, and barbell. Okay. Sorry, I'm just waking my butt up. If you only have a squat rack, a barbell, and a bench, you can get in a good workout. You can incorporate body weight exercises. I like the superset, and I think this is a good idea. You can come into the gym, do two sets of heavy bench press, and then, or you can come into the gym and do like a set of bench press and superset with push-ups. You can do like 2 sets apiece. You could do like bench press and push-ups. There's just a million ways to do it. Then you can move on to your back work, and you could do barbell rows or pendlay rows and pull-ups. Then you can move on to your shoulder work, and you could do overhead press and push-backs. And push-backs are an actual exercise variation like pull-ups. So you could do superset stuff like that. You don't want to come into the gym and do the same stuff over and over again. So you could rotate between heavy days and light days, and you don't do all your heavy work on one day. You don't do like bench and barbell rows and squats and all that on one day and then just do body weight on the next. You could alternate between bench press and pull-ups and then heavy overhead press, and then the next day you could come in and do push-ups, and you could do barbell rows, and then you could do push-backs. So that's one of the best ways to do. Just find a way to alternate body weight stuff and barbell exercise. I got about 7 minutes left, guys, and if I miss your question, your favorite ab movements for core strength. I'll talk anything in this video. I'll talk sex life, I'll talk fat loss, I'll talk supplements, I'll talk off-the-topic questions, it don't matter. Ab strength, core strength. Forget the crunches, forget the sit-ups, forget all the fancy bullshit, and focus on 2 primary exercises, ab wheel rollouts and planks. And if you can get really strong on both of them, you're going to have a good, strong core as a base. Once you build up from that point to that point where you can really just absolutely crush planks and absolutely crush ab wheel rollouts, then you got to get creative and try some different stuff. Let's see. As a beginner who wants to build muscle, focusing on a specific rep range. Don't focus on rep ranges. Don't focus on rep ranges. Don't focus on rep ranges. That is the biggest waste of time. I'd never focus on rep ranges. Never focus on rep ranges. You can try programs with specific rep ranges, but the magic is a good exercise selection with a quality focus on compound movements, progressive overload or getting a lot stronger than you are now, a a reasonable amount of training volume, meaning you're not just doing 2 sets per workout and you're not trying to do 40 sets per workout. We're going to be somewhere in the middle with 12 to 14, 16, 18, 20, even 22, 24 sets if your body can handle it. So good exercise selection, progressive overload, a decent amount of volume, and consistency. And if you got those in the mix, it don't matter if you're doing a 5x5 or a 10x5 or whatever. Just do what feels good on a specific exercise and stick to the core things that are going to get you bigger and stronger. Let's see. And I'm getting a lot of questions, so excuse me if I'm missing it. Do you have any tips for endurance training? I'm playing hockey and trying to play the whole game. You have aerobic and anaerobic capacity. Weight training helps with anaerobic, which is short bursts, which is good for sports. So you need to have resistance training. You would also need to have some form of sprint training, and you could also incorporate like hill sprints. But for endurance, for me, it came down to running. I was a basketball player. I just had to run. I was a runner for 14 years. So I would like to, after I got really good at running, I would run and then I'd have bursts where I'd run faster. So I'd mimic a sport. Don't Google starting strength. Don't Google starting strength. Google massive iron by Steve Shaw or check the link in my books. You don't want to do starting strength because Steve Shaw is smarter and he's just as old as Ripito and he's stronger and bigger. So, all right. So any tips to strengthen core for squats and deadlifts? I just answered this question. It comes back down to ab wheel rollouts and planks. Get as strong as humanly possible on them and never use starting strength because you have Steve Shaw and he is bigger and stronger than Mark Ripito and quite frankly, he's more handsome than Mark Ripito and he can drink more whiskey than Mark Ripito as well. All right, guys, I got about 5 minutes left, so give me your questions. I have flat feet. Don't know how to answer, don't know what your question is. But how to wear a flat shoe when deadlifting and squatting. Trying to focus on V-taper, back shoulders 3 times a week on a 6-day split optimal. Here's the thing that guys fall into the pit. They want to improve a certain muscle group, so they immediately jump into doing it more frequently. Can I briefly review what your book Massive Iron contains? Sure. It's 200 pages of content. It contains about 20 example workouts. What Massive Iron does is and I'll get back to your question, Cody, it shows you how to make any workout work. Even though I have sample workouts, it gives you pillars for success. So you could take starting strength, you could take German volume training, you could take any workout system out there you find in a magazine or whatever, and you can maximize that workout. You can maximize that workout. So that's really what Massive Iron is. It gives you the base to maximize, to be successful in general. And then I give you a whole shit ton of workouts as well, my workouts. And there's nothing magical about my workouts. They're just examples. And there's a lot of reviews on Massive Iron at tigerfitness.com. So check that out. Now back to Cody's question, the V-taper and wanting to train more frequently. A lot of guys who want to build up a body part or build up an exercise immediately jump into frequency training. There could be other variables that are limiting the growth in that equation. So you need to do a personal assessment on strength, on exercise selection, on all that kind of stuff, and honestly ask yourself if you've been crushing it as hard as you think you have. And if you want to dive into more frequency, I don't like doing things 3 times a week if you're training 6 days a week. That is intense. If you are going to train 6 days a week, I would do more of a push-pull legs or some kind of a 3-day rotation so you're training everything twice a week. Because, look, if you're going to be training chest 3 times a week and shoulders 3 times a week and triceps 3 times a week and arms 3 times a week and all this stuff 3 times a week, there's crossover. So when you're training shoulders, you're also training triceps. When you're training chest, you're also training triceps. When you're training triceps, you're also training triceps. So you're not actually training things 3 times a week. You're training things multiple times a week. You're just hammering the living crap out of these muscle groups and not really, it's just not good. So I would, if you're going to train 6 days a week, I would only train target each specific muscle group twice a week just because of the compound movement factor. And I hope that helps. All right. 5x5 for dynamic effort deadlifts, good or bad? No, it's not bad. There's nothing. Reasonable stuff is rarely bad. The only thing you need to understand on dynamic lifts is that you just want to make sure your speed is there and your form is there. So it's all good. Is 5'10", if it's 5'9", considered short? No, I think 5'9", 5'10", 5'11" is about average height for Caucasian Caucasian and African American, folks in, there's some different height factors, like Asians and Hispanics tend to be a little bit shorter, but 5'9" is an average height for most men, and for some ethnicities that's very tall. So I lost my balance doing deadlifts and injured my lower back. Any tips to avoid that in the future? I don't know why you lost your balance. Sometimes, my only advice is, look, when you're dealing with heavy weights, sometimes stuff just happens. I mean, sometimes it just happens. I've lost my balance squatting before. You can't be spooked out with that. Things are going to happen. You have to honestly know that things are going to happen when you're resistance training. Things that can't be expected. That's life. And all you can do is learn from them, see if there's something that caused that. So, one more question, guys, and I gotta go. And I'm gonna answer something off topic to get out of here by EU. Besides YouTube, what are your hobbies? I love to hike. I hike 8 to 10 miles a week. I'm very adventurous. I'll go do some really ridiculous things and some extreme things for hiking. And I love hiking because I hate cardio. I've done all the cardio. I've done basketball and running. And if you like it, great. I've been there, done that. Hiking is wonderful because you typically burn twice as many calories. You get outside, get that natural sunlight for testosterone, and it's good for stress, it's good for blood pressure, and hey, you get a woman or a man, whatever your sexual persuasion is, one-on-one in the woods. It's just a good time. And you get to burn a lot of calories and go eat a lot of good food. So I love to hike. I play guitar. I actually play a lot of guitar. I have a page on Instagram and Facebook called Steve Shaw Music, and you can check that out. I've been playing guitar for 31 years, and I've just recently tried to sing in public, so I'm doing a lot of that. So I cook. I'm a great chef. I'm a wonderful chef, no exaggeration. You can give me any ingredients. I will show you how to balance the flavors. I love to cook. I'm a really good chef. And what do I do besides that? I love beer. I'm a beer aficionado. I love beers. I'm not brilliant. I'm not one of these top tier beer aficionados, but I have an appreciation for beer. I have appreciation for cigars. I love that world as well. And really, one of the biggest aspects of my life and who I am behind the scenes is I spend a lot of time helping people. People look at me as a power builder. They look at me as a power lifter. But the honest truth is my transformation of losing 100 pounds has had more of an impact on people than anybody. So most of the people I help will come to me, that I've helped will come to me and tell me they lost weight because of me. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. I got to get off and do some Sunday stuff. I appreciate your guys' support. Again, if you have any questions or comments, check out the link below. Come on over, submit your questions. The best questions I turn into videos just like this. If you've made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. And I'm going to be putting my book, Massive Iron, below since I referenced it. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.